No fingerprints, no weapon. No direct contact, and yet people were dying. The first victim was found in his apartment, sitting calmly on the sofa, television still on. There were no signs of struggle. No wounds, no poison detected. The autopsy listed the cause of death as cardiac arrest, but the man was only 32 and perfectly healthy. Police called it natural. Then it happened again, and again each victim died alone. Each death looked natural. Different ages, different cities. No connection, except one terrifying detail. Every victim had received the same message days before they died. Not a threat, not a warning. Just a sentence: you will make the right choice. Detective Aaron Cole didn't believe in coincidences. After the fourth death, he noticed something no one else did. All the victims had recently made life-changing decisions, quit jobs, cut off family, confessed secrets, or isolated themselves completely. Someone wasn't killing them, someone was pushing them. Aaron traced the messages. They didn't come from a phone or an email, or any known platform. They appeared through ads, notifications, pop-ups, tailored perfectly to each victim's fears. The sender never asked for money, never demanded obedience, he only suggested. And the victims followed. When Aaron tried to track the source, the system erased itself. Logs vanished. IPs led nowhere. It was as if the killer didn't exist. Then Aaron received a message himself. "You're closer than you think." That's when he realized the truth. This killer didn't need weapons, didn't need to be present, didn't need to touch anyone. He only needed to understand the human mind. That was the sentence investigators couldn't ignore. The message wasn't a threat. It wasn't a confession either. It was a statement of purpose. From that moment, the case stopped being about murder methods and became something far more disturbing: control. Detective Aaron Mills realized something critical. None of the victims had been chosen randomly. They all shared subtle psychological traits: social isolation, predictable routines, a need to be understood. The killer didn't stalk bodies, he stalked patterns. The team re-examined the victims' digital lives. Emails, online forums, comment sections, therapy apps, anonymous surveys. Slowly, a connection emerged. Each victim had interacted unknowingly with the same online persona. A username that appeared harmless. Intelligent, empathetic. The persona never gave instructions, never threatened. He only asked questions, deep questions, questions about fear, about guilt, about control, about what someone would do if pushed just a little further. And somehow after these conversations, the victims made small changes in their lives. They skipped routines, took different routes, made impulsive decisions, decisions that placed them exactly where they would later die. No fingerprints were found because the killer never touched them. No weapon was recovered because the victims used their own environment: cars, heights, substances, stress. Each death was ruled accidental until now. Investigators traced the persona's IP. It bounced through multiple countries, encrypted layers, dead servers. But one mistake stood out: a timestamp overlap. During one conversation, the persona responded within seconds to a highly personal message, something that would require emotional context, not automated logic. This wasn't a bot, it was a human, and he was close. They narrowed it down to a private behavioral research group operating under academic cover. Publicly, they studied decision-making under stress. Privately, one researcher had gone far beyond ethics. His name had never appeared in criminal databases, but his theories had. He believed humans could be guided to destruction without force, without threats, without violence, if you understood their mind well enough. And he had just proven it. As officers prepared to move in, a new message arrived in the task force inbox. It wasn't anonymous. It was addressed directly to Detective Mills. It read, "You're asking the right questions now, but you're still thinking like a cop, not like a participant." The screen refreshed. Another location was attached. Another life was already in motion. The phrase "only needed to understand the human mind" wasn't written as a conclusion. It was a declaration. Investigators initially assumed the killer was a distant manipulator, someone hiding behind screens and algorithms. But as they reconstructed the timeline, a more unsettling truth emerged. The killer wasn't avoiding contact because he was afraid of it. He avoided it because he didn't need it. Every victim had made a choice. Not a forced one, not a threatened one. A decision they believed was their own. The digital trails showed patterns of subtle influence, carefully timed messages, suggestions disguised as curiosity, questions framed as harmless conversations. The killer never told anyone what to do. He simply nudged them toward decisions they were already vulnerable enough to make. Psychologists reviewing the case noticed something chilling. The killer understood cognitive load, how stress, loneliness, and uncertainty weaken judgment. He appeared in victims' lives during transitional moments, job changes, breakups, financial pressure, identity crises, moments when people search for meaning or validation. He offered neither comfort nor danger. He offered understanding. The conversations weren't intense. They were slow, ordinary, sometimes boring. That was intentional. Trust forms faster in monotony than in drama. One analyst described it as emotional camouflage. The victims never felt manipulated because manipulation was never overt. They were led to believe they were discovering ideas on their own. When a suggestion appeared, it felt like an internal thought, not an external push. That's what made the killer invisible. As authorities widened their search, they discovered online communities where similar conversational patterns appeared. Forums, niche chat groups, even comment sections under unrelated videos. Always the same style, neutral tone, gentle curiosity. No usernames reused, no IP overlaps, no signatures except one. A linguistic marker. The killer avoided certain words entirely. Never used absolutes. Never said always or never. Every sentence was framed as a possibility, never a command. Behavioral linguists flagged it as intentional restraint. Whoever he was, he had studied influence deeply. And he was patient. One victim's final actions were particularly disturbing. Though there was no panic, no rush, surveillance footage showed calm movements, normal behavior, the kind that doesn't raise alarms. Investigators realized the killer didn't trigger fear responses. He neutralized them. Fear makes people unpredictable. Calm makes them compliant. A breakthrough came when a junior analyst noticed something almost invisible: response timing. The killer always replied with slight delays, never instantly, never too slow. The timing mirrored thoughtful human reflection. Enough to feel present, enough to feel real, enough to feel trusted. The analyst cross-referenced this timing with archived research papers. One study stood out, an obscure thesis on perceived autonomy in guided decision-making. The author had argued that people are most influenced when they believe they are not being influenced at all. The paper had been published years ago, under a real name. Authorities now had a direction, but not a suspect, because understanding the human mind didn't require physical presence, weapons, or force. It only required patience, observation, and the willingness to let people destroy themselves while believing it was their own choice. And somewhere the killer was still watching, not to act, but to wait for the next mind that was ready. The breakthrough didn't come from technology. It came from language. Investigators had spent months chasing digital trails, encrypted messages, and anonymous accounts. Everything pointed to manipulation, but nothing pointed to a body. No fingerprints, no physical contact, no shared locations. Then a behavioral analyst noticed something disturbing. Every victim, before committing the act that ended their life, had written or spoken a sentence almost identical in structure. Different words, same pattern. Not copied, conditioned. The killer had never needed to touch his victims because he wasn't attacking their bodies. He was rewriting their decisions. By reconstructing chat logs, emails, forum posts, and game transcripts, analysts realized the killer followed a precise method. Identification, targeting people already questioning themselves. Isolation, slowly pushing them away from friends and family. Authority transfer, convincing them their own judgment was flawed. Final trigger, presenting a choice that felt inevitable. The victims believed the decision was theirs. That was the weapon. Tracing linguistic fingerprints across platforms led investigators to one user who never appeared directly involved. Evan Rowe, a former cognitive science graduate student who disappeared from academic records years earlier. Evan had been dismissed from his program for unethical research proposals. He believed free will was an illusion and wanted to prove it. His online presence was subtle. He never instructed, never threatened, never demanded. He asked questions, gentle ones, questions that nudged thinking in a specific direction. When agents arrested him, there were no weapons in his apartment, just notebooks. Thousands of pages mapping decision trees, emotional thresholds, and psychological pressure points. When confronted, Evan didn't deny it. He said one sentence, "I didn't kill anyone. I just showed them the answer they were already moving toward." In court, the case shattered precedent. How do you prosecute a murder with no physical act? Experts testified. Victim histories were reconstructed. The pattern was undeniable. Evan had engineered outcomes, not actions. The jury returned a verdict, guilty, not for touching his victims, but for controlling the path that led them there. Evan Rowe was sentenced to life imprisonment. The case changed how law enforcement viewed crime. From that day on, investigations didn't stop at weapons or locations. They studied words, because the most dangerous killers don't leave fingerprints. They leave ideas, and once planted, they don't need to be touched to kill.